The School Globe by James Reaney.
The poem talks about a person who is reminiscing about their childhood. They stand in an empty classroom holding a globe, which is a symbol for their past. They begin to recall various memories and experiences about their life as a child. The whole beginning of the piece is very reflective, but as we reach the end, we see her begging for this life back as the real world is filled with gruesome and horrible things. This poem has no rhyme pattern and is one long stanza. Usually the punctuation dictates to pause after a memory from their childhood.
The poem The School Globe by James Reaney discusses the idea of holding on to one's childhood as the realization of the real world comes into effect.
Lines 16 to 19 read, "And afraid to swear because God might hear and send a bear to eat me up." In these lines, James Reaney uses an allusion to a holy figure. He also uses a metaphor comparing a bear to a punishment. Through these lines, we get the idea of innocence and how her life was so simple and she had so little to worry about.
Lines 29 to 30 read, "The school globe is a parcel of my past, a basket of pluperfect things." In these lines, James Reaney uses a metaphor comparing someone's past life or their childhood to a basket of pluperfect things. In saying this, he implies that their childhood was ideal.
Lines 40 to 43 read, "But if someone in authority were here, I'd say give me this old world back whose husk I clasp." In these lines, James Reaney uses two symbols, the first being line 40. The someone in authority could be a symbol for God, as it also speaks of being religious previously. This implies that she could be talking in a prayer in the next two lines, which stresses the importance of what she is trying to say. The other symbol is in line 43. A husk, by definition, is the outmost layer of a fruit or nut once the insides are removed. In this context, it is a symbol for the perfect world that people see, but when it unveils itself, it is not as expected or as portrayed. When they say whose husk I clasp, it is them holding on to the idea of that perfect world.
Lines 44 to 48 read, "And I'll give you in exchange the great sad real one that's filled not with a child remembered and pleasant skies, but with blood, pus, horror, death, stepmothers, and lies." At this point, the tone of the poem has changed. It reveals that childhood, or this picture-perfect life, is not how the world truly is. James Reaney uses harsh and dramatic words and a couplet to prove his point.